Hi, in this video we're going to begin with Unit 2, reviewing logic and linear relationship. The main topics in Unit 2 were reasoning, conditional statements, transversals, and equations of lines. So we're going to take a look at each of those topics, starting in this first video with reasoning. There are two types of reasoning used to reach conjectures and conclusions. The first one is inductive reasoning, which uses patterns and observations to make a conjecture. The conjecture made can be true or false. Deductive reasoning uses facts, definitions, and rules to make a conclusion. The conclusion we make will always be true. So we're going to use reasoning to answer the following problems, and then we're going to determine which type of reasoning we used. So A says angle A and angle B are supplementary. The measure of angle A is 130 degrees. What is the measure of angle B? Okay, well, I know the definition of supplementary says the two angles should add together to make 180 degrees. So if one of them is 130, I can do 180 and subtract my 130 to get 50 degrees left for the other angle. So if angle A is 30 degrees, then the measure of angle B has to be 50 degrees. Okay? So that is my answer. Then it says to tell me what type of reasoning did we use. Well, I started with saying we know the definition of supplementary means they add together to make 180. So I'm using a definition, which means it's deductive reasoning. Okay, let's look at the next one. It says, what is the next number in the following pattern? 7, 10, 13, 16, and 19. Generally, what I'll kind of tend to do is I'll look and see, is there a pattern in how it changes? So from 7 to 10, I'm increasing by 3. From 10 to 13, we're also increasing by 3. 13 to 16 is an increase of 3, and 16 to 19 is also an increase of 3. So if I look at a pattern, every single time my next number is an increase of 3 from the previous one. So 19 plus 3 is 22. That is what I'm going to predict the next number in the pattern to be. Okay? Which type of reasoning did we use? Well, we were looking at a pattern. So inductive reasoning uses patterns. So inductive reasoning. Okay? Letter C. It has been under 80 degrees every day so far this week. What do you think will happen tomorrow? So we have seen it be 80 degrees every day. So we are observing a pattern, right? It's happened every day. So I think if it's happened every day, it's also, I'm going to guess, is going to happen tomorrow. Tomorrow will also be under 80 degrees. Okay, and what am I using? I'm observing that this is happening every single day. So I'm observing a pattern that's happening every day. So this is also inductive. Now remember, your inductive can be true or false. Just because it's been 80 degrees, especially we know here in San Antonio, because it's been 80 degrees every day this week, does not mean that tomorrow is also going to be under 80 degrees. We could have a little heat front, right, and get really hot tomorrow. All right, and the last one, point D, is a midpoint of segment RM. AM is 7. What is RM? Okay, well, I know the definition of midpoint says that that is the point on a segment that divides that segment exactly in half. So if point A is the midpoint, it's dividing segment RM exactly into two congruent pieces. So I was able to put my little marks on there. From A to M is 7. So A to M is 7, which means the other side is also 7 because the definition of midpoint says it's right in the middle. What is RM? R all the way to M. My segment addition postulate says that my two segments together make 14 units. So RM equals 14 units. Okay, what kind of reasoning did I use? Well, I used two definitions. I used the definition of midpoint to know it was 7 on each side. And then I used my segment addition rule, or postulate, that said I could add these two together to make 14. So I used definitions, and rules or postulates or facts, right? Which means this is deductive reasoning. Okay, hopefully that helps you determine the difference between inductive and deductive reasoning. Thank you so much for watching. In the next video, we'll review conditional statements.